Visit soup, salad, breadsticks, but don't bring your gun. Even if you are a police officer in uniform. A Kansas City Olive Garden now under fire for booting a cop. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
They're here, only at Olive Garden.
But one police officer who was celebrating his birthday dinner at the Olive Garden wasn't welcome at all. Yes, a restaurant employee ordering a uniformed police officer to leave the restaurant because he was armed.
It seems silly to me, a police officer who's sworn to do his duty, and I mean, that's what he uses to protect the people in the restaurant and when he's doing his duty.
But now the president of Olive Garden apologizing to the officer, and Kansas City Police Chief Darryl Forte tweeting, "I spoke with one of the managers at Olive Garden. She was very concerned and shared police officers are welcome there. Facts are being gathered." Brad Lemon, the president of the Kansas City Fraternal Order of Police, goes on the record this evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
The officer who went into the Olive Garden, just to clarify, he was in uniform and had a weapon issued by the police department?
Yes, he was in uniform and on full duty. Had a short break between two assignments, and because it was his birthday, chose to try to grab a bite to eat with some family members. And while he was waiting for them to get there, one of the employees asked him to leave.
And what did he say? I mean, what did the officer say?
Well, like anybody else, he at first thought it was a joke, and then once he realized it wasn't, he then asked her if she was serious, and she said yes, and he goes, "Well, I guess I should leave," and she said, "Yes, you should." And officers aren't programmed to begin disturbances. Our job's to end those disturbances. So he just chose to leave, and embarrassingly called his family and told them to meet him somewhere else.
Where was the manager at this place? I mean, did any customers say anything at all or speak up?
I've read one thing where a lady said she saw him come in and sit and wait, and then all of a sudden he got up and left, and she didn't see why. I spoke to the management about it, and I really don't believe that this was a management issue. This was really most likely just one individual that had a problem with police officers and took it upon herself to ask the officer to leave.
And interesting enough that you say that, Brad, because we do have a note from Olive Garden. They've issued a statement and said this, in part, Officer Halsworth's experience was unacceptable and completely inconsistent with how we treat members of law enforcement. The president of Olive Garden spoke with the officer last night to personally apologize. Police officers are always welcome at Olive Garden. Brad, I assume that the apology was accepted by the officer?
It was. The one thing that we want to do is try to get through the fact that any person doing this is unacceptable. But the fact, we don't believe that it was a corporate issue by any means. The sad of it is that this has become the narrative in America.
Except, you know what? It could. We just did something at Dunkin' Donuts. It could become a corporate matter if corporation from the top would send a message down to stop disrespecting the police. I mean, they may not be sending a message to discriminate and be nasty police, but they could send a message down to police to thank them. I mean, so I look at it a little differently. Time for them to speak up.
It is, and then we agree also is that it is time for the corporate America to reach out and say that discrimination by any means is not is not okay. So,
thank you, sir, very much for joining us. I hope this doesn't happen again. Thank you, sir.